you've just watched a whole bunch of videos in the Packet Pushers live stream, and I'm joined with Amir again. He is the founder, along with Amit, of Alkira, and they've actually had a string of successes, and we go back a little ways. But tell me, what's the story behind, what's the corporate overview of Alkira? If people have just watched all those videos, what is it that you would tell them about Alkira they need to know?
Greg, we've been in the industry for over 30 years now, and I founded Viptela, and it's one of the leading SD-WAN solutions. And after that, I took a year off and was thinking of the next biggest problem in the industry,
Yeah.
right? And it was a challenge to find something. And then I realized that cloud, after talking to a lot of customers and doing a lot of research, cloud is an area where networking was lagging behind. And not only from the cloud perspective, but also from multi-cloud perspective as well. So if you look at multiple clouds, everybody does their things in their own way. They're all different. There are
Yeah.
nuances, there are limitations, and so we thought that that was an area to address for the customers. And then we started to realize that cloud offers enormous amount of resources, right? And why can't we utilize it to build networks for the future? And that's what we have done, that we have not only solved the multi-cloud problem, but we have solved an end-to-end problem for the enterprise customers and in a holistic manner. And also integrated, as you know, the high-layer services as well as
Right.
visibility.
So there's some takeaways from that, and I'll add in some of my own commentary about what Alkira is, and I hope that's okay. So you've got 30 years, you've been working at other vendors before you started in the startup land here. You even had a startup before Viptela, which was successful, and you managed to get away. So this is your third startup. So that's, if I was looking at you from a credibility perspective, there's a history there, right? The second thing is that you're working in the hybrid cloud, multi-cloud, but increasingly what I think of as the network of networks space. That is, Alkira is solving that problem that here's my SD-WAN, here's my data center, here's the Google proprietary network, here's the AWS, here's the Azure proprietary network. Then there's my legacy. I've got a legacy MPLS. I might have some direct connect, but I've got some stuff on the internet. And the challenge there is, how do I stitch all that together into a single fabric? Now, the challenge there, of course, is as an architect, I don't actually know where I'm going. Am I going to be in Google? Am I going to be using direct connect? Am I going to be, right? And your solution actually has an answer for, and I'm going to go big here, all of those.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Greg. And as customers start to deploy applications in different clouds, it's one application. Applications are optimized for certain clouds, right? Like Microsoft applications may be more optimized for Azure. There may be certain other applications which may work much better in Google or AWS. So every single customer that we are talking to, by definition, has deployed applications in different cloud, or they are going to do that soon enough. So I don't know of any customer who's not going to be a multi-cloud customer. And by definition, if you're a hybrid cloud customer, you're also a multi-cloud customer. So why not have a ubiquitous way of solving problems across all these environments, right?
Yeah. And that's the challenge, is architecturally, you don't know where you're going to be. Yeah. Like as a network architect, you might want to say, well, I am only going to build on-prem. And that works fine until you acquire a company that is all in with Google Cloud. Well, all of a sudden you're in the Google Cloud, whatever, or you get a SaaS, and now you need to manage the SaaS part of it, right? Yeah. And these networks are largely incompatible. And as we've spoken about, the pitch that you would say to people is, as I understand it at least, is there is a need to bring all of those networks together in a unified way. And the Alkira technology is based on this idea: you send the traffic into our network has these middle boxes which can then forward the traffic quickly, find low latency paths. You can modify it as it moves across the network. If you need me, I can do anything to it. I can security scan it. I can run it through third-party firewalls if that's what I need to meet. That idea, that flexibility for any situation is really at the heart of what you're offering.
Yeah, and also it's delivered as a service. The industry has never seen anything like this before, right? Where you can configure a whole network end-to-end within minutes and provision it in less than an hour in majority of the cases. And that's at the global scale, right? And that's the excitement in the industry, is that it doesn't only give you the power that you need to control your environment, from the networking perspective, but it allows you to do it at the speed of business, as our customers say.
Yeah, you don't have to go and deploy a box. You just spin it up. You get
Yeah.
the traffic into the Alkira network, and then you can do whatever. And we saw that when we were prepping, we were chatting with you and one of your customers. And
Right.
at the end of it, he popped up and said, "Oh yeah, now while we were chatting, I just deployed a new site." And it really is that easy, because everything you're doing is deployed in somebody else's cloud, on somebody else's infrastructure, which means you're leveraging the power of what's in place to go forward. So brownfield is the way forward. You don't need to throw something out. You don't need to replace anything. It just adds to, builds on top of.
Exactly. And that's very important for the customers. They cannot forklift their environment right away. It over time, migration always takes time, right? And so they have to slowly adopt the new environment in addition to what they have today, right? And then migrate towards the future. And that's how networking world works, because it's all mission critical, all applications. You cannot, your network cannot be down, right?
No.
And if it goes down, you have to bring it up quickly, right?
Well, nominally it cannot be down. It can be down if it has to be, but you don't want to have to take it out of service to do something to it.
Exactly.
Because that has such ramifications. You take out so many services. When your data center network goes down, the whole company stops. It's not like you're just taking down a branch or whatever. So,
so we have addressed some fundamental problems like high availability, right? Multi-zone, multi-region, right? We have also solved the problem of elasticity, which the networking folks always promised, but we were not able to get there because the technology was not ready. Now, with the enormity of the cloud and multiple cloud environments that we can utilize to build our infrastructure, we can offer that elasticity to the customer. So let's take an example of a retail customer who are, margin constrained anyways, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to provision for the peak hours during the holiday season for the remainder of the year.
Yeah.
They just want to have more resources available on demand, right? And those resources should magically go away when they don't need them. Why should they have to pay for the peak hour? So the deployment in the cloud, of building solutions in the cloud, addresses those major problems for the customers.
Yes. I can imagine that companies that are watching this are looking at and saying, well, I want most of my stuff to be in my data center, but we're going to do something in the cloud, right? And that app that goes into the cloud, that 20%, the 80-20 rule, the ubiquitous, idea, that 20% that goes in the cloud might be that scalable once a year app, or that peak loading or unpredictable loading type thing. But it doesn't matter from a networking point of view. Once you're in the cloud, you're in the cloud, and your network has to be there. You can't just, and so many people who are doing a hybrid cloud at the moment are saying, oh, well, I'll work out how to connect to there. And then all of a sudden they've got this legacy networking architecture where you've got VPNs to here and IPsec tunnels to here. And it's just not one network. It's all these little hard to live with things.
Yeah. And the question always comes up, right? How come I cannot take my existing technologies and put them into the cloud? So it's like building a hybrid car versus an electric car. It's very different, right? You have to design something from scratch to be able to take it to the next level. You cannot just do it, by patching the existing solutions. They were done specifically for solving certain problems, and nothing was done for the cloud era so far. So this is the first solution of its type that we strongly believe is going to transform the networking industry to move into the future.
And I think the last point I want to raise is that the Alkira solution doesn't depend on the underlying cloud. That is, you abstract your features, your networking sits over the top of. And so if the cloud underneath changes over time, the Alkira service does not.
Yep. And that's a very important point.
So if you've been interested with watching today's show and you want to find out more, and we've spoken a little bit about what Alkira is, and thanks to Amir for coming on, get on over to alkira.com and ask for them and tell them that Packet Pushers sent you. Thanks very much for watching. See you later. Bye.
Thank you so much, Greg.